We shall be discussing about medical device classification. So before having a discussion, so let us just look into the certain set of criteria that has been used to classify the medical classifications. So the criteria are the duration of contact with the body, degree of invasiveness, local versus systematic effort, potential toxicity, dependence of source of energy, and part of body affected by the use of device. So these are the various set of criteria that has to be considered for classification of medical devices. So understanding the medical device classification is crucial for each and every manufacturers, as well as the regulators and healthcare providers. So the system ensures the safety and effectiveness of medical devices while encouraging the innovation. Now let us have the introduction to the medical devices. So the medical devices encompasses a wide range of instruments and tools that has been used for either diagnosis, treatment and prevention of various diseases or injuries. So the advancement in medical technology have led to the development of sophisticated devices with complex functionalities. The use of medical devices requires an appropriate regulation or a standard that has to be followed in case of ensuring the patient's safety and efficacy. So there is a standard or else a regulatory body. So in case of formulated by US, so US Food and Drug Administration, FDA. So that is responsible for formulating the medical device regulations for ensuring the patient safety and efficacy. And looking into the overview of medical device regulations, so the first and foremost thing is about the safety and efficacy. Yes, the medical device regulations are designed by US FDA to ensure the safety and efficacy of the device before it is getting reached to the patients. The next thing is the clinical trials. So various clinical trials in the laboratory has to be performed by the manufacturers to demonstrate the safety and the effectiveness of their device and to ensure the device is safe to operate for the patient and either for diagnosing or else for giving treatment. Then after manufacturing, so the product has to be reached to the market, and after the product reaching the market and after the usage of the manufacturer's particular manufacturer's product, we have to look into whether there is any compliances that has arrived from any patients, or else the survey has to be carried out in case of monitoring how far a medical device that has been manufactured has been a comfort for the patient, and ultimately the safety aspect has also to be considered, and if at all there is any unsafe situation or it's a risk situation that is going to occur, that has to be ultimately reported to the manufacturer. Then based upon the risk levels, the US Food and Drug Administration has classified a medical device into three different classes of equipments. One is class 1, the other one is class 2, and the third category is class 3. So class 1 is low risk level, class 2 is moderate risk level, whereas class 3 is high risk level. So example of class 1 low risk level equipments are bandages, tongue depressors and thermometers. Example for class 2 moderate risk level medical devices are insulin pumps, pacemakers. Examples for class 3 high risk level medical device equipments may be your heart valves and artificial hips. So the general control for class 1 medical device are subject to general control including the manufacturer practices and labeling requirements. So these possess a minimal risk to the patient and are often considered to be safe and without any extensive review. So as we know, we have discussed about the examples, bandages, thermometers, tongue depressors. So this may possess a minimum risk. However, the duration of usage been, or be the degree of invasiveness, or I think that won't be, it is non-invasive. So bandages we are going to apply over the body and we are not going to penetrate or puncture any part of the body. So hence these are described as low level or low risk level of medical device equipments. Then coming to the moderate risk level of class 2 medical devices. So this requires special control such as certain performance standards or labeling guidelines. So these possess a moderate risk to the patient and requires additional scrutiny to ensure safety, so, such as the insulin pumps and pacemakers, hearing aids, or various examples. So in case of insulin pumps, so based upon a sugar glucose level of any particular patient, so the level of insulin has to be adjusted, and whereas in case of the pacemakers also, so based upon the heart disorders that has occurred for any particular patient, so these kind of instruments will be useful for the patient who are suffering from cardiac diseases, such as there may not be fixed rate of heart. So the fixed rate of heart per minute is 72 beats per minute. So in case of maintaining that 72 beats per minute, so this pacemaker could be operated in a fixed rate pacemaker mode. So then coming to the hearing aid. So based upon the level of hearing for any particular individual, so the frequency level could be adjusted and thereby the noise level can also be eliminated based upon the patient's requirement, and hence making the patient possess a moderate risk, and thereby certain factors has to be scrutinized in case of ensuring the safety, such as the adjustments in these levels of instruments that what we are going to provide as a treatment for any particular patient. Then coming to a class 3 medical device, pre-market approval is required for this category of medical device equipment which possess the high risk to the patient, so require the most stringent review to ensure safety and efficacy. So the equipment such as heart valves, artificial hips and implantable defibrillators require pre-market approval, which is a rigorous process that involves various clinical trials and extensive data analysis. So based upon the performance during the clinical trials and seeking for the improvement and ensuring the safety of any particular equipment or device that what we are going to manufacture, so this may require pre-market approval. So only getting a pre-market approval, we may be able to manufacture in bulk quantity and thereby allow the product to reach the market. Then the risk-based. So these are the risk-based approaches for classification of any medical device. So any medical device at any point could be moved on from one category to another category. So based upon the risk assessment and the regulatory pathway that the manufacturer follow during the process of manufacturing their own equipments. So the FDA, this Food and Drug Administration, uses a risk-based approach to classify the medical devices, considering the potential harm that a device may pose to patients. So this kind of risk-based assessment process will evaluate the safety profile of a device, taking into account its intended use and potential risks. The classification of a device will determine the regulatory pathway that the manufacturer must follow to obtain marketing authorization. So for manufacturing any medical device, so there are certain regulatory standards or certain ISO standards that has to be followed. So ISO 13485 for medical device regulation has to be followed in case of manufacturing any medical device. So this is how the risk-based approach has been made in case of classifying the medical device under three different categories. So these categories of equipments could be reclassified, and the exemption can be made from pre-market reviews if they meet the specific criteria, such as being the low risk or used for any specific diagnosis or any specific treatment purposes. So the FDA continuously monitors the safety and effectiveness of a medical device and may make changes to classify the system as needed, and at any point any medical device could be moved on from one category into another category based upon based upon the meeting out of a specific criteria. And here is an importance why it is so important to classify and have a proper classification of medical device. So only for two main reasons. One is the patient safety, the other one is innovation. So the proper classification will ensure that the device was safe and effective for their intended use, protecting the patients from harm. Then the next importance of proper classification of medical device is innovation. A clear classification system will encourage innovation by providing a framework for manufacturers to develop and commercialize new medical devices. So these are the importance of proper classification of a medical device.